So good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you to the West 2nd Avenue Drainage and Roadway Improvement Project Resident Pre-Construction Meeting on March 26th. The purpose of this meeting is to bring you here today and explain to you the pre-construction process for the West 2nd Avenue Drainage and Roadway Improvement Project. I'd like to take a moment to recognize that this project has been a long time in the making. It's part of the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, which we call HMGP, which means it had to go through several rounds of approvals and a lengthy back and forth process before we could reach this point. While it has taken time, the funding has allowed us to make critical drainage and roadway improvements that will greatly benefit the community by reducing flood risks and improving stormwater management, as well as repaving West 2nd Avenue. The Town of Windermere is committed to keeping residents informed throughout this process, and this meeting is an important step in that effort. Tonight, we will cover an overview of the project scope and objectives, the anticipated construction process and how it may impact you, the resident, the drainage improvements and how stormwater will be managed, and then there'll be opportunities for you to ask questions and share concerns. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment and recognize some key team players this evening. Mr. John Fitzgibbon, who is our consultant engineer, will discuss the laydown yard location and project overview and explain some of the things you've been seeing happening out there already. Mr. Michael Galora is the engineer of record for this project, and he'll walk you through the drainage and stormwater management details of the project. And then finally, we'll get to the really good point with Ryan Whitmer, who's our project manager from Cathcart, and he'll explain the construction process to you and resident access during this construction period. So to ensure that we get through this information efficiently, I kindly ask that you hold any questions until the end of the presentation and remind you to please mute your phones, as it's distracting when there's a lot of noise going on and the presenters are attempting to present. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Mr. John Fitzgibbon. John, if you wouldn't mind presenting slides 3 through 5.
Thank you, Tanya. As we've said in the past, this is actually the location of the current laydown yard. You guys have probably seen it. We do have the fencing up, obviously, to protect the equipment and just protect and securitize the area. We are currently using it. It's the location that works best for us. We've used it in the past and many times. It's centrally located to the project itself. Right now, we believe that we'll be bringing in the amount of materials that we need to stockpile there and only bring the materials in as we use them, which helps keep the clutter in a tight area during construction. And with it being centrally located, that's a big help for us. So anyways, that's just a heads up. When you see the fence and you see the equipment and you see everything there, know that that's the purpose of that particular laydown yard. Next slide. Again, this is the overarching limits of the project site, including stormwater capture, drainage structures, roadway grading, curb improvements, resurfacing the road. In addition to that, water main improvements, and then obviously erosion and control sediment throughout the project. On the next slide, you'll see it takes us all the way through to the end of Main Street. Sorry, Tanya, that's the same one. Is there? That kind of shows
No,
you.
John, that's it.
Sorry, anyways, it goes basically from the cul-de-sac at the end of West 2nd Avenue all the way to Main Street for this particular construction. As you've noticed, some stakes going in the ground. We are beginning to locate the right-of-way. That doesn't necessarily mean the limits of the work. What it does is it allows us to figure out what our sandbox is for the contractor to work with inside the constraints of the right-of-way and not to be on private property. So those are the orange stakes that you probably see in the wide side. And then now you're starting to see some blue stakes that are coming in, which actually helps us with the water main offsets. If any of you do have any specific questions about your piece of property and what a stake means, we are more than willing and able and to help you and be able to explain those particular stakes for you. Again, I do want to make the point and clarify that the road width, based on the conversations and the walkthroughs that we had 2.5 years ago, it's the same plans. There's no change. It's just really now we're ready to rock and roll. We've got the funding in place, we've got the contracts in place, and we are ready to hit it hard. And then you'll see Ryan will be able to talk through you with the phasing plan. In addition to that, you've probably seen some activities that are out there. We are now starting to go through to cut asphalt for the water main on Second Avenue, and doing some bell restraints and those kind of things. I'm going to let Ryan get into the deeper part of what that means and his soliloquy here tonight. But just so you know, we're going to start to see that. In addition, I've worked with Cathcart in the past on many, many jobs. They're a fantastic contractor and very receptive and responsive. And the one thing that Ryan and I have talked about today is that ultimately we will be, once we have some final coordination efforts through Orange County Utilities, be posting online a 2 to 3 week look ahead so that as you guys can go to a specific area of the website to just see what's happening in the next 2 to 3 weeks so you can plan appropriately. I think I've got all the points, Tanya, that you and I were talking about, other than the fact
Just
that
one thing,
it is
just one
not our
thing, John.
it is not our intent to 4-lane West Second Avenue.
Yes. And John, just one thing, residential water connections and how
Yes, and
that will,
yeah, that's a good point. So right now on the current plans actually show a proposed location, mostly just for pricing and modification, so that we know what the impact was cost-wise. Ultimately, what we will do, when those get staked as we move through the process, we will locate where they're shown on the plans, but then yet coordinate with the individual residents to shift them one way or the other, depending on where your water connection is, to make it the most cost effective for you all for connection. We already have a pre-agreement with Orange County to allow us to make those slight modifications without any modifications to the drawings. They understand that that is really more of a, uh, uh, in construction type modification. But we have the details that are included in the drawing. So we will be coordinating those with you as we trip through these particular areas.
perfect. Thank you, John. And thank you again for reiterating, we are not four laning West Second Avenue. So as we move forward in this presentation, I would like to welcome Mr. Michael Galora, the project engineer of record. He's going to very quickly go through each of these segments because there's been a lot of questions since we haven't seen this for a little bit, since it was going through the process with the state and federal agencies. He's going to go through what's happening at each segment, where the runoff is being collected, and where it's going to. So if you wouldn't mind, Mike, to go through this quickly, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Tanya. I'll be describing the proposed drainage improvements, moving from west to east, starting at the cul-de-sac. In the cul-de-sac, we'll be constructing French drains, which will be collecting stormwater and then impounding it in the pipes, and then slowly allowing the water to seep into the soil and the groundwater for it to be recovered into the lake. And this is the only means we can do it because we don't have any dedicated outfall for this portion of the project. Going to the next section, Jason. This is a section that the town had already completed drainage improvements, and we already have a dedicated outfall to Wasion Bay. There will be no additional drainage work that'll be done in this area. We will be doing primarily water main improvements, and I believe there's going to be some milling and resurfacing of existing pavements so that we maintain a service life for the entire length of West Second Avenue. Next section will be just to the east of that, which is an area that has some low spots, and we will be also draining this portion of West Second Avenue with French drains, allowing the water to collect in the pipes, and then slowly allowing it to infiltrate into the ground through slots in the pipes.
Perfect. Thank you. And Mike, when you say that, what that means is it's being collected and it's going to drain down through the ground into the Floridian aquifer for treatment, correct?
That's correct. It'll go like it does today, which is basically going underground, but we'll be getting it off the streets so it doesn't cause any flooding in the streets that could be problematic for vehicles or pedestrians.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Just wanted people to know what that meant when we said soil column into the aquifer. Okay, next segment.
This next segment, the town had already completed drainage improvements within this portion of West Second Avenue. We will not be increasing the volume, but we will be enhancing the ability of the roadway to collect surface water on the road so that it does not, again, flood the road and cause any problems for any vehicles or any pedestrians. This next section is also an area that the town had completed improvements on already. The drainage infrastructure is in place, and all this drainage goes down south along Pine Street into Palmer Park, into some shallow swales, which will eventually discharge into Lake Butler. The final piece is the section from Pine Street east to Main Street, which is where we'll be collecting stormwater runoff along West Second Avenue and taking it into pipes and connecting it to the existing drainage system that is on Forest Street, which eventually drains to First Avenue and into Washington Bay. This part of the project, from a drainage perspective, is probably the most complex because it is the largest watershed of all the ones that we have completed for this project. And so we'll be improving the road conditions, because right now a lot of the road where it's very steep is washing away with erosion. So we'll be capturing that prior to water running off into adjacent properties and take it into the existing drainage system prior to discharging into Washington Bay.
Right, perfect. And it's important to note, Mike, that because this is a hazard mitigation grant project, it's gone through the state and federal agencies and the permitting agencies, including their engineering teams, before they awarded these funds to us, correct?
That is correct. And just another note to make is that because West Second Avenue is a dead-end roadway, we wanted to make sure that we provide the residents the best opportunity to evacuate in the event of a major event like a hurricane. So we wanted to make sure that the roadway is passable and that it's in safe structural condition for you to be able to exit to Main Street and get out to your evacuation routes.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. So I would like to summarize that this project will significantly improve drainage efficiency throughout the West Second Avenue corridor. It will help mitigate flooding, direct runoff properly, and improve overall roadway conditions. Water will either be absorbed into the superficial aquifer or directed or designated to designated outfalls, such as Washington Bay and Lake Butler. Key intersections are Pine, Palm, Butler, and Forest, and they serve as major collection points for the stormwater. In addition, these upgrades will help prevent erosion and improve water quality, ensuring long-term benefits to the community. Now I'd like to introduce Mr. Ryan Whitmar. He is with Cathcart Construction, and he's our project manager for this project. I would like him to now go through the construction process and resident access through this project. Ryan, if you would, please.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everybody. So what you're looking at here on the screen is going to be phase 1, which is the cul-de-sac portion of the West Second Avenue improvements. Our game plan here is we have a water main installation, new services, and a French drain storm system installation. We'll be doing the water and the storm concurrently to try and limit the amount of disruptance in the area while we're working. Like Mr. John said earlier, we are planning on laying out all the proposed locations for the water services, and we will get with each resident individually and confirm they are accepting the new position of the service, or they don't want it altered, either which side of their driveway or any other different configuration. I do want to bring up that during the process of this, we will make sure that all residents maintain access to their houses at all times. This portion of the project, we're anticipating 100 days to have all utilities installed and the road backfilled to a drivable surface. The only thing that will not be done within that 100 days is the final asphalt. The phase 2 portion, which is what you're seeing now, also has storm drainage and water as well. This will go similar to the first phase. We're going to have 2 crews on this. One crew starting with the storm drainage and the second crew following behind with the water installation. This will be the same as the cul-de-sac, as residents will have access to their houses at all times, and we will be restoring the project as we go. So we won't have a big, massive area disturbed all at once. We will restore as we're installing. This part of the project, we anticipate 150 days, and that includes everything except for final pavement. The last portion here, which is all the crossroads leading up to Main Street, is what we're calling phase 3. Phase 3, there'll be a lot of time for phase 1 and phase 2 where we have slight, I wouldn't say lags in schedule, but times where we have to wait on clearances and other things where we can go utilize phase 3 for doing fill-in work to keep the project duration shorter. So phase 3 will be going at sometimes after phase 1, and it'll also be going concurrently with the end of phase 1 and the beginning of phase 2 to try and get this project across the finish line as soon as possible. Phase 3, it just only has deflections for water mains. There's no new services in phase 3 for the residents themselves. There's deflections around the new storm system we're putting in there. What you see here is what we are proposing as our temporary access point for the residents in the cul-de-sac. Obviously, the cul-de-sac area is one of the tighter portions of the project as far as roadway. And what you see here in blue will be a stabilized access road for all the residents to get to their houses while we install the utilities through the roadway. As you can see on the plans, the French drain is going in the middle of the roadway, which will obviously give your access, it'll shrink it down. That's why we plan on doing that blue area with stabilized road base so you can access all the way around throughout the duration.
Thank you very much, Ryan.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
at this time, we'd like to open the floor for any questions or concerns from the residents. If you could please raise your icon of your hand in the Zoom system, we'll come one at a time for questions. Please only unmute when we've asked you to begin to ask your questions so that we don't have any distractions.
Honey, I see a thing from Jim.
Oh, did Jim raise his hand?
No, Atchison. Jim, it's the same thing that's in front of McCarthy's place.
Hey, Robert, this is Jim. I'm sorry, I don't think I had a question.
Oh no, it was in the chat, sir.
Oh, okay. I was just having a hard time seeing the visuals in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's what's in front of McCarthy's house, so nothing's changed from when we met like 2 years ago.
And if you'd like, Mr. Atchison, if you want to go ahead and put your email, if you feel comfortable putting your email in the chat, I'd be happy to send you the presentation so you can take a look at it. Apparently you were not able to see the visuals.
That's fine. I've been following along. I'm good. Thank you, though.
Okay, you're welcome.
Good to hear from you, Jim. The speed humps, I don't think anything's going to, I think we're keeping them the same. That's from Scott Kirby.
Yeah, we weren't anticipating anything new on that. Okay,
Scott, you
so
there?
Mr. Reams, you would like to ask a question? If you go ahead and unmute.
Okay, you're unmuted.
Thank you. I want to revisit the understanding that there's going to be a 2-foot widening on each side of the existing street. And how much disruption will there be beyond that? I understand about the two feet on each side, but in order to get there, is there going to be more encroachment into the right of way? The town right, how much of a mess is that going to be, is what I'm asking.
So, Mr. Reams, I know that you had asked Mr. Fitzgibbon this at the last meeting, and he explained that this 2 feet, as we're calling it, is just that curb, that slight curb that's going to go on either side of the roadway to carry the water. Mike, did you want to add anything further on
Yeah,
that?
I think, Tanya, it depends on, and I apologize because I'm not really 100% sure where Roland Reams lives. But there are
9:30.
obviously going to be some right-of-way impacts for the installation of the water main, which is beyond the limits of the 2-foot curb as you get out of the cul-de-sac area. So I'm not really sure potentially, but those impacts will be within the right-of-way.
Tell me you're at.
To plan for that, we're at 930 West Second. We're in the neighborhood with Andrew, Kirby, and let's see. I guess what I would.
Would you ultimately be, Roland, are you on the west side or the east side of West Second Avenue at that point?
Well, I consider myself on the south side on Lake Butler.
You're on Lake Butler. Okay.
Yeah,
You're on the
so
southwest side.
what is your concern? I mean, it's construction, so it's gonna be messy, so.
I don't know what you're asking.
No, my concern was, you've just about addressed it. I was concerned about things like this water main. So you can't just think in terms of a 2-foot widening. In terms of construction, there's going to be more, and that is to be determined, I guess.
That is correct, sir. And in addition to that, wherever those are that live within the confines of where we're putting stormwater structures and piping in, it'll be more impactful than just a 2-foot curb going in.
Right, I understand. Is it possible for us to have someone come out and take a look at our situation, and who would that be?
That would probably be me, sir. And I believe I've met with you before, but I would love to, now that it's becoming imminent, I'd have no problem meeting with you. If you just want to coordinate that through Tanya, that would be great.
I'll do that. I'll just work on that. And I had another question or two here. Bear with me. How much of the street material will be removed? All of it, or 2 inches of it, or what happens there? Do we retain the base, which is in front of my place is concrete?
That again is dependent on how much digging we're doing, because if we are doing crossover for stormwater, we're doing, water main work and crossovers for, it could go anywhere from 6 feet deep to 3 feet deep to maybe just milling and resurfacing and keeping the existing paving base in place. So
Okay.
I don't want to answer the question specifically because it depends on where you are along West Second Avenue.
It's a full,
Oh,
milling and resurfacing, so.
All right, so it's a milling and resurfacing. That's the general goal, and I understand that.
Yes,
So
sir.
one final thing. Would you elaborate just a little bit on the water stations? Are you saying that when you say water station, what's existing in my house or around my house to be a water station? Is it where the meter is?
Yes, sir. So where your meter is currently at, per the plan, we are to install the new water service at the same location. What we plan on doing is putting a stake in your front, in the front right away where it's at right now, showing you where the new one's supposed to be, and we'll meet with you before we install it to see if you happen to want it on the other side of your driveway, or you want it moved over a couple feet to the left, or still within your property.
Or
Okay.
it's possible to leave it where it is?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We may not.
Okay, well, thank you. That answers my question. My wife Barbara has a question for you, and thank you again.
Yes.
When we look at the pictures, it looks like we're at 930 West Second Avenue, which is just above, just toward the cul-de-sac, 923. So it looks like we're, in terms of stormwater work, we're in second phase, but in terms of maybe the actual road building, we're in first phase, because we're right there at the crux of that. So I'm just, yeah, so okay, so this is second phase. So in terms of that stormwater drainage, correct? Or is that everything?
Are you asking about the milling resurfacing or just the stormwater improvements?
Well,
The milling resurfacing will happen, I think. I mean, our contractor can,
Robert, I think what Miss Reams is referring to is she's on the kind of the borderline of phase 1, phase 2.
Right.
And
Oh.
so you, and I would prefer, let Ryan, can you at least respond to that as you transition out of phases? That's
Absolutely.
probably a good thing, yeah.
So at the
Yeah.
930 address, ma'am, you do not have any storm drainage directly in front of your house. You will be in the phase 2 portion, and that will, in front of your residence, will just be the new water main in that location.
All right. And so you're going to have a storm water drainage part, and then you do the road part, right? In other words, even within a section, what we can expect first is stormwater work, and then construction of the road is actually second. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. And I just kind of wanted to know when I expected something to show up. It's all
Yes.
right. I got it.
We will have the phase 1 cul-de-sac area, all the storm and water installed, and the road backfilled and be ready for asphalt before we start in front of your residence.
But
Oh, okay.
it's also important to understand that the paving will occur for the entire stretch of West Second Avenue at one time.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
All right. Okay. So
Right.
we're not going to have any activity until 100 days from now, actually.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. I'll lower my hand.
Okay. Mr. Jay Garner, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you for taking my questions.
Sure.
In the last Zoom call we had, I thought they said that the roads would not be widened, but there would be a curb on each side. And then I thought I heard today that the roads would be widened 2 feet on each side. What's the right number there?
That 2 feet is the curbing on either side of the road.
So the road itself is not widened, correct?
No, the road itself will not be what we're doing was we're trying to maintain a consistent width to allow vehicles to pass safely in each direction. Because there are areas along West Second Avenue where it gets very narrow and people have to pull over into the right of way to allow the other person to pass. And so we're making it just wide enough so that vehicles in each direction can pass each other safely. But then
Pull up on the curb.
the 2 feet will be the curb, the concrete curbing that will protect the edge of the pavement for many years. And so what we've seen over time is that edge has deteriorated, has been broken off by people driving over it, and just its age. And so we're looking to maintain the integrity of the roadway by putting that curb in, and also it will help facilitate better drainage for the roadway itself to take that water to the inlets.
Okay, I don't have any problem with that. However, if you look at where we are today with the large vehicles that come in and park when people we're working on new houses or reconstructing houses, that type of thing, we always have the road is not wide enough, so we always have to drive over into beyond where the curbs would be. So I guess you've taken that into consideration, have you not? What road is itself is not wide enough to contain many of the large vehicles that come in here and allow passing without going off the road in order to pass. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So how do we deal with that?
Is this General Gardner?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I used to be. I'm Jay Garner now.
Got to show respect.
Sure.
No, it's 2 feet on either side. And with the swales and the stormwater improvements that we're doing, it'll allow for, landscape vehicles to pull off to the side, Amazon, stuff like that. So it's going to be 2 feet on either side, but it's not widening the road.
Is it going to be similar to, this is Jay's daughter, is it going to be similar to where it is down by Pine and the park? How you guys installed the curbs down there and the road? It seems a little bit wider there anyway.
By the Lee property?
Yeah,
At
by
Pine, yes,
yeah,
yes, by
Pine
Pine,
at the
yes.
park.
Yeah,
There's curbs down. There's curbs in that section.
Well,
Yeah,
the
it's gonna
curbing
be-
will be different. It will be what they call a traversable curb.
Okay.
So people can pull off. That section of roadway, we use a more vertical curb because we were having issues with the drainage in that portion of the of West Second Avenue.
Well, okay. I guess what I'm thinking is when you finish that, as we try to pass these larger vehicles, many times we'll have to drive up on top of the curb. And I guess you've taken that into consideration, correct?
Yes, they are traversable and they can be driven over without any issues. And that's their function is to be able to allow vehicles to be able to drive over them into the right of way.
Okay,
Correct.
that's what my last question is.
Sorry.
Many of us have landscaped all the way out to the road. Now you'll be taking away much of that landscape. Will you replace it, or will you replace what we've lost? Like mailboxes,
Mailboxes
put up there?
Mailboxes will be accounted for. If there's a bunch of lavish vegetation in the town's right of way, you'll be responsible for some of that yourself if that has to be removed.
Okay, all right, that's fair. But then if you remove landscaping that's not in the town's right of way, do you replace that?
We're not going to be in outside of the town's right of way.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much.
Yep. Okay, Jennifer Clark.
Hey, I'm here with my husband, Ryan. We live in the phase 1 at 1005 West 2nd Avenue. So, yep, phase 1.
I just don't understand that.
Our question is, if you can go back to the slide, I think it was the last slide with the projection of the blue temporary road.
Oh,
Cul-de-sac.
Yeah, and the cul-de-sac, there you go.
Yeah.
So that pretty much covers like our parking area, our driveway, and a portion of the front lawn. Is that all temporary, or is that eventually going to be paved and curbed as well?
Temporary.
That's all temporary. Are you? I guess another question I have is how far into what is existing in that blue zone will you guys be going into with the new paving and the curbing?
The blue zone will not have any curbing or pavement on it. That's just going to be temporary. So it'll be removed before the pavement and curbing go down.
Hey, Jennifer, the whole purpose of that area is to continue to provide you guys access while we're doing the work in the middle of the road. So that will all be temporary and then back restored.
Okay, so all of that is temporary and it'll go back to the existing
Yeah.
size that the road is currently, or are you going to be widening at all that portion of the road?
No, the road width stays the same. What we're trying to do is just show you guys as we are in the middle of construction, in the middle of a road, digging trenches, how we work with you through what we call maintenance of traffic to allow you guys to have egress in and out to your homes during construction. And then all that will be restored when we're done. The road configuration stays within the same confines in which it's right now.
Okay.
So it's a temporary thing.
Yeah, and I think everybody focuses on like widening. It's just a curb.
It's a ribbit curb.
Yeah, it's a ribbon curb to where you can drive on it. It's not like a. I wish I had a picture of it, but I mean, in front of McCarthy's house and on Lee
I
Road.
feel like this is
Yeah, if you look on that will be the ultimate. Does when we're done, that's what it'll look like, is what we got in front of McCarthy on Pine Street. But what we're showing here is really how do we allow you guys in and out while we're doing the construction.
Yeah.
So this is Ryan. The blue area there, and this is what I think my wife was ultimately trying to get at, was we have brick pavers because of people driving up onto the yard, as well as in the parking area. Right as you make that turn is a brick paver parking area. So I'm assuming all of that is sprinkler heads, yard, etc., is all going to be pulled up for the temporary road. And will it then be restored, or is that going to be our responsibility?
No, it will be all restored.
Okay.
All your brick-
there's sprinkler heads all in there, and the brick pavers,
yeah.
and our mailbox, all, and then I think there's even an oak tree on that far right side of the blue. Are you guys going to be removing the oak tree around the bend there?
No.
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 Sounds like it's all in the curb.
That oak tree is why we shifted the blue. That's why you see two different areas with blue, because we were making sure we aimed traffic away from that oak tree.
Okay.
Well, you're talking about this one here.
Yeah, on the right.
She's talking about right when you're coming down Second, right as you make the immediate right-hand turn. There's an oak tree and a light pole or power pole right there at that corner. There is another oak tree that you've deviated away from further down, but right as you enter the turn in the very beginning.
So that oak tree I know you're talking about on the corner house right there. Based on everything we have right now, we don't see it being an issue with installing the storm drainage and the water main right there. But if it, comes to be one, we'll make sure we notify everybody before we make any actions on it. But as of right now, no, we don't anticipate that tree being a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Clark. Ms. Roper?
Ellie?
Ms. Roper, you're muted.
Supposed to be unmuted.
Yeah, you're unmuted now, Ms. Roper. We can hear you.
Okay. You may have already answered my question, but the curbing I was hoping would be like the one I've put down in front of my property and the one next door to me.
Yes, it will be the same.
If you like that, it won't be one of those tall concrete curbs.
No.
It's the same. The engineers confirmed, Ms. Roper.
Good. That's what I was hoping for.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. McGough? Mr. Robert McGough?
Okay, are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Good, okay. Back to the issue about the width of the road for a second. Now, this project's been going on for a long time, as you well know. You acknowledged that at the beginning. And at one point in time, we were told, I recall, that the purpose of the widening of the road was to permit two fire trucks to pass, or to be passed one by the other. which would be about 20 feet of width. Is that a fable, or or is there some truth to that? The 20-foot width of the road?
No, that's, sorry, my daughter is talking. That's a fable. I mean,
It is. Mhm.
yes, sir. I mean, our intent was to make sure that we had, sorry, guys. To make sure we had, fire hydrants and stuff like that. But as far as two trucks passing each other,
Yes.
and 2 feet on either side, I mean, you have the alligator cracking right now. It'll just enhance the safety for everybody.
All right, good.
Yeah, but I don't know where the whole fire department thing came from. So,
Okay.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking your question. Ms. Wells? Linda Wells? Ms. Wells, if you're speaking, you're muted and we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm sure you've covered this, but 20 times, but it finally dawns on me we're gonna have curbs on both sides of Second Avenue. So they're gonna be curbs in front of my house and across the street. Is that correct?
What is your exact address, Ms. Wells?
706.
Mike, are you able to take a look at 706?
I mean, again, when we say curbs, it's not like what you think as far as a vertical curb. It's like a sloped curve.
Well,
yeah, it's something you can drive over.
Yeah, are there any such curbs around here that we could look at? Because the curbs that you've put in, I forget where, maybe down at Pine Street, but somewhere down Second Avenue, are not something that I would think you could drive over, but these are different apparently.
I would
Yes,
look
ma'am.
Yes,
front of
yes,
Andrew
Mr.
McCarthy.
Yeah, Mr. Galora mentioned that earlier, that the ones at Pine are different because he was having to control stormwater more fiercely. John, is it down by Mr. McCarthy's house that is more in line with these? And what address is he at?
It's
Approximately?
930 Main Street, and that is, or 930 West Second Avenue, and that is probably the best iteration.
Example.
If they look at
Okay.
a profile of that road and you just go down there and drive it, that's probably the best thing that they'll see.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
a slope curve. It's not what you think as far as a regular curb.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
In other words, it's not sharp. It's very sloped and soft.
It's referred to as a V curb or a Miami gutter, a roll-off curb. It accepts traffic.
But 930 West Second, if you want to drive by there, you'll see the curb example there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So with that, I think we've gone through everyone. Is there anyone else who has any questions of us this evening?
This is Barbara Reams, and it's not 9:30. It's right south of us. It's 9:15. Linda Wells.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I have a question. Which side of the street will the water main be on? Washington Bay side or Lake Butler side?
I believe it'll be primarily on the Lake Butler side, the south side of West Second Avenue. And then as you go into the cul-de-sac, it's going to kind of meander in there because we're going to be avoiding the drainage structures before we make the connection to the blow off at the median in the cul-de-sac.
Okay, and for me here on 930, I can pretty much count on the water main being on my side of the street, running across the front of the house.
Yes, sir. It'll be in that side of the road.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
you're welcome. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our town manager for closing remarks. Mr. Smith?
Thank you. Sorry, I have my kids watching YouTube right now. No, I mean, thank you guys so much for all your input. And if there's any questions or concerns, we'd be more than happy to answer those either through me or John.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We greatly appreciate you being on this call. Your input is invaluable to us, and we're just happy this project is hitting the road running. So take care and have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you. Let's leave meeting somewhere. Here we go.